Live from Treaty 1 territory, this is APTN National News, recognized as Canada's best national newscast.
Welcome to APTN National News. Evacuations are underway for 2 First Nations in northern Manitoba. This is the second summer in a row both have had to face full or partial evacuations due to wildfires. Marcel Colomb Cree Nation has activated its evacuation plan due to approaching wildfires, and the nearby mining town of Lynn Lake, which serves as a key supply and service hub for the First Nation, is under a mandatory evacuation. On Sunday, it was announced that 110 Marcel Colomb band members were being evacuated immediately due to a critical shortage of resources. Meanwhile, wildfires have cut off the only road into the Opipinapiwin Cree Nation. They are under a state of emergency and initial air evacuations are underway, with approximately 200 priority evacuees with medical needs. Emergency partners at the Canadian Red Cross and Indigenous Services Canada are working together to coordinate response efforts. Reception centers are being established to assist arriving evacuees. A former NDP member of Parliament is questioning a decision by a Canadian mining company to hire controversial Republican politician and former Trump cabinet minister Christine Noem, who was fired as head of the Department of Homeland Security earlier this year. APTN's Fraser Needham has more.
At a press conference on Parliament Hill Monday morning, Charlie Angus said he can't understand why on earth Nova Red Mining, a British Columbia copper and critical mineral mining exploration company, would hire Noem as a strategic advisor.
So what does she bring to the table? Human rights violations, torture, defying the federal court, and now she's setting up to do business with the natural resources of Canada.
With weapons and
Noem generated controversy as the head of Homeland Security, which oversees U.S. Immigration, Customs and Enforcement, or ICE, after ICE officials laid siege to the city of Minneapolis earlier this year, resulting in the deaths of 2 American citizens. U.S. President Donald Trump ended up firing Noem. As Angus noted on Monday, she was well known for having strained relations with Native Americans during her time as governor.
In her time as governor of South Dakota, her toxic relations with Indigenous people was so bad that it resulted her from being banned from all of their homelands. And she is going to be the one involved in moving forward copper mining on Indigenous territories in Canada. This is ridiculous.
For these and other reasons, Angus is calling on the Carney government to review just what role Nova Red and Noem plan to play in Canada's copper mining sector.
Our Prime Minister rightly sees copper and other critical minerals as key to building stronger economic ties with our democratic allies in Europe. This strategy is in open defiance of Trump's Dunroe doctrine that insists that Canada must be a weak vassal state serving American interests.
The Honourable Minister of Energy.
APN News reached out to both Nova Red Mining and Minister of Natural Resources Tim Hodgson's office for comment. In an emailed statement, Hodgson's office said they are committed to working with Indigenous communities through the Major Projects Office, and hiring decisions by private companies are not under the purview of the Government of Canada. Fraser Needham, APTN National News, Ottawa.
Ginanaskamitin Fraser. An Akwesasne man has pleaded guilty to being part of a human smuggling ring. Storm Delormier admitted in court he was part of a group smuggling 2 children and their parents into the U.S., but in March 2023, a boat capsized in the St. Lawrence and the family of 4 died. He faces up to 15 years in prison. With an ever-growing drug crisis in the city of Winnipeg, officials are trying new ideas to combat it, including controversial ones such as the open drug enforcement strategy that is currently underway.
In retrospect, our partners that we work with, the community outreach groups, we could have gave them a head notice.
It's an apology by Winnipeg Police Chief Gene Bowers after the fact, saying this open drug enforcement strategy is an attempt to make all citizens feel safe.
Many are expressing real concern about drug trafficking, about open drug use in public spaces, and about discarded needles and paraphernalia. These issues are affecting people's sense of safety.
For 10 days, the Winnipeg Police Rapid Response Unit will focus on open drug use, but instead of criminalizing addiction, it's meant to lower drug trafficking. Standing behind the police chief is Winnipeg Mayor Scott Gillingham.
And I want to stress that I appreciate and support the compassionate approach that they're taking. We can do both. We can enforce the law and be compassionate.
But at least 12 community groups are saying this attacks the vulnerable. That includes many Indigenous unhoused relatives whose harm reduction supplies are being confiscated near safe service centers on Main Street. Kate Schoberg with Resource Assistance for Youth believes it does criminalize people who use drugs and will create safety issues.
It is actually criminalizing pressure. People are more likely to use in ways that make them less safe. And that's why we're concerned that this is going to lead to more deaths, because when people are stressed out, when they've been denied a dose that they would be usually able to rely on and now have to scramble to find a different dose, maybe from a person that they don't trust.
Community groups question if this is the best use of limited public resources, especially when 911 response times are at an all-time high. But other advocates like Joseph Fourier are on board with the latest initiative.
We need to clamp down on it. That needs to be a priority.
Fourier recently attended this reopening of a park downtown and next to APTN HQ. Before the park closed for renovations in 2024, it was a hub for open drug and alcohol use, drug dealing, and assaults.
And that's got to be the number one thing that we cannot tolerate in this park, and that's open using.
Fourier says this drug crisis shouldn't fall on police alone. As someone who's battled addictions in the past and lost his own son to an accidental fentanyl overdose, he says the province of Manitoba needs to do more for users seeking help.
I think that's where we need to be putting our resources, is into detox and into treatment beds. We've spent an enormous amount of money on harm reduction and giving out safe supplies that, if we kind of switch that around a little bit and offered people a way out, then I think we would get a better handle on the problem, and we would save more lives.
Saving lives, one of the few details amidst this growing drug crisis that everyone wholeheartedly agrees on. 2 remote communities in the Northwest Territories are on the move after out-of-control wildfires grow increasingly close. Our reporter Charlotte Morit-Jacobs has more from the evacuation center in Yellowknife.
After driving 600 kilometers through the night, Fort Simpson evacuees are arriving in Yellowknife carrying only what they could fit in their vehicles. An evacuation order was issued for the 1,300 Dene Métis community on Sunday evening, triggered by unfavorable winds in the forecast that could have pushed the out-of-control wildfire burning 7 kilometers closer to the village. Officials say firefighters remain focused on protecting Fort Simpson, while other residents wait for news from home. The ferry from Fort Simpson remained open for 24 hours for residents to leave the island by car, and for those unable to drive, they were sent by plane, checking in at the evacuation headquarters here. Beth Hudson and her family arrived at 4 a.m.
And it started to get a little ominous looking, like it blocked the sun. And so I think there was this general sense that an order was coming once that was starting to happen, because it really made it apparent, you could see the smoke clouds.
For parents, the uncertainty now shifts from getting out safely to helping others settle into an unfamiliar place.
We packed up what we could in the moment. We were able to get his clothes and some books and a bag full of toys and diapers, so we kind of have the bare necessities in that.
Michael Quezon, a wellness worker with Yellowknife First Nation, grabbed the essentials, including his drum. But his focus less on what was left behind and more on supporting others in a good way.
We're talking about maybe doing a drum dance and things like that, just to kind of lift people's spirits up and that, because it's important to kind of just stay in the moment and not to, think too far ahead, because that might get overwhelming and things like that. So just to stay in the moment. And
up the Decho, Mackenzie River, the 130-person Dene community of Wrigley is also facing an evacuation order as residents leave to the designated host community of Fort Smith NWT. APTN reached Chief Jamie Moses of Betsikai First Nation by phone.
It was a lot of staff, everybody running around making phone calls and also going door to door. Okay, yeah, we got the evacuation order this morning. Well, actually, we got the alert and then the evacuation order not even 15 minutes later. So we have people driving out, and flight should be here. Our host community to be Fort Smith, so we thank them for that there.
As evacuees settle in, Jordan Villeneuve reflects on his experience fighting fires and says his thoughts remain with the crews.
It's a lot dangerous due to the fact that it's in remote areas and not much accessible, and a lot of stuff happens during those times. Like recently we had a crash.
There are currently more than 80 fires burning across the NWT, with many regions under heat advisories and experiencing persistent drought. Charlotte Mort-Jacobs, APTN National News, Yellowknife.
Kinanaskamat in Charlotte, and we're always looking for your feedback or story ideas. If you have a story that you want to share with us, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. To read and watch our stories, go to aptnnews.ca. And never miss a story by downloading the APTN News app. You can find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. And we take you north to Gavin McKenna's hometown the moment he was picked first overall for this year's NHL draft. That and more right after this quick break. Cheskwa. Come on in, Pitigwe. Gavin McKenna is a rising hockey star, and now he's headed to Toronto to play in the NHL. Our reporter Sarah Connors caught up with fans at a draft party in Whitehorse, where his journey to hockey stardom first began. And as she tells us why now that many there are calling him their hometown hero.
Mr. McKenna, we would like to draft you to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
The Toronto Maple Leafs officially selected hockey phenomenon Gavin McKenna first overall in the 2026 NHL entry draft Friday. While most saw it coming, that didn't make the moment any less sweet at this party in his hometown of Whitehorse.
And to have the #1 draft pick overall, it's pretty cool.
It's just an amazing opportunity for Yukon, and he is such a phenomenal hockey player.
See this is you never see this in your life. This is a one-off. Like this craziness, right?
It's a big win for his First Nation, which also hosted a draft party in Dawson City. The selection makes him the second known Indigenous person to be drafted first overall. Widely considered to be the best 18-year-old hockey player in the world, McKenna's now rubbing elbows with the likes of Justin Bieber. Hailing from a town of about 30,000 people, hockey fans here have long followed his impressive rise to hockey stardom. That includes his childhood hockey coach.
I'm not surprised that he's in the NHL. I'm not even surprised that he went #1 overall, because that's the kind of work that he's put into this. So, yeah, he was always a step ahead of everybody on the ice.
As McKenna prepares for his NHL debut with the Leafs, the real question now is whether his hometown fans may need to rethink who they cheer for.
But now we got to buy Toronto jerseys, I guess, because we're Oilers fans, but we're going to be Toronto fans also. So.
We're going to work on it. You know what? He just made it a lot cooler than it ever was for me personally.
The Leafs will be really lucky to have him, But truth be told, I would say that if Gavin went to San Jose, I would go to San Jose to follow Gavin because he's a Yukoner.
McKenna is proud of his Yukon roots, and fans here are proud of him. No matter where his NHL career takes him, people in his hometown say he'll always be one of their own. Sarah Connors, APTN National News, Whitehorse.
Ever deadly, congratulations. Earlier this month, the province of Newfoundland and Labrador informed the Innu Nation to limit their history to 300 years in an exhibit timeline. Now, archaeologists are speaking out. One of them is archaeologist and anthropologist Stephen Loring. He serves on the Arctic Studies Center at the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. Loring has spent decades researching the circumpolar north, including Labrador Innu history. He rejects the province's claim the Innu have only been in Labrador for 300 years. Welcome, Dr. Loring. Thanks for joining us. Your research in Labrador began over 50 years ago, including working with the Innu Nation. What was your reaction to the province of Newfoundland and Labrador limiting an Innu history exhibit timeline to 300 years?
Well, it was very disappointing. I know how hard people in the community have been working, with museums to bring some of their belongings back to the land from which they originally were acquired. And it's bizarre that they chose to make the distinction that they did.
Mm-hmm. What is the evidence found by you and other anthropologists outside of Labrador that Innu history in Labrador actually spans thousands of years?
Yeah, well, archaeology is a funny business, and the things that we find, the lost traces of people's past activities on the land, broken stone tools, old fireplaces that we can radiocarbon date, outlines of old structures and things like that. That data is subject to interpretation, my colleagues and I are all of the opinion that the evidence, as we interpret it, shows continuity between the Innu today and their ancestors, stretching back for thousands of years.
You touched on this a little bit there, but I guess why do you think the province is limiting Innu history in Labrador to 300 years?
I don't know, and I'm a little nervous about projecting an opinion on the matter, but it seems to me that if the province position denies the continuity, the historical connection between people today and the past, that they're in a position then to deny land claims and to deny the control and the rights that the Innu have to their land and their resources.
A bit of a similar question here. Do you think this setting could set precedents for other governments?
Well, I certainly hope not. I think the archaeological evidence can be interpreted. It's not a hard science. It's subject to interpretation, and this debate about Innu continuity through time could be argued out in an academic setting. What's very painful is when government ignores the oral history, the relationships that people have had for generations and generations, and so who knows what the future will bring? But it's a dangerous precedent, and I think an unjustified one.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to thank you for your time today.
Well, thank you for this opportunity, and thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Time for another quick break here, but there's more to come on APTN National News. Tesqua. Wow, welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. Sunrise over Winnipeg, Manitoba. Great shot sent in by Jordan McKay. Thank you for sharing. Now, if you want to be featured as our photo of the day, email your pictures to share at aptn.ca. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting over on the East Coast, Charlottetown 22, Halifax 24. Happy Valley, Goose Bay 25, Nain 18. Quebec City 26, Chibougamau also 26. North Bay 29, Sault Ste. Marie 30. Big Trout Lake 20, Sioux Lookout 32. Churchill 6, Thompson 19. Winnipeg 24, Dauphin 21. Yorkton 16, Swift Current 17. Stony Rapids 27, Buffalo Narrows and La Ronge 18. Fort Chipewyan 23, Peace River 24. Red Deer 21, Lethbridge 22, Kamloops 24, Bella Coola 13, Fort Nelson 19, Smithers 22, Old Crow 17, Mayo 16, Yellowknife 27, Norman Wells 23, Tuktoyaktuk 6, Colville Lake 19, Cambridge Bay also 19, Chesterfield 15, Arctic Bay 12, and Iqaluit 12 as well. It's been nearly 4 decades since the Muskeg Lake Cree Nation established an urban reserve in Saskatoon in 1988. Now in June 2026, the urban reserve is home to more than 60 businesses, and its partners are committing to building on that relationship. Video journalist Rachel May has more.
There's fear of the unknown. There's fear of what comes next. But I always remember this: without fear, courage would not exist. And that's why we're here today.
The Government of Canada says the Urban Reserve Asima Kanisekon ASKI, a partnership between the City of Saskatoon and Muskeg Lake Cree Nation, was Canada's first urban reserve. It was built on land previously set aside for city development. Muskeg Lake Chief Kelly Wolfe says the urban reserve has grown over the past 4 decades to include Indigenous and non-Indigenous businesses, healthcare centers, and a university campus, showing the strength of the partnership.
We want to continue and expand on that relationship and that foundation. Our previous leaders laid the foundation before us, and now it's time to expand on that foundation and learn from our previous leaders. And we're very excited for this opportunity.
Chief Wolfe and Saskatoon Mayor Cynthia Block have signed an MOU to keep working on future projects, this time in the downtown Event and Entertainment District, also known as DEED. The goal is to breathe new life and celebrate culture in Saskatoon's core.
I don't think there's any timelines on any start dates of any projects. I think the first step is, now that we've did the ceremonial signing, now it's time to sit at the table together and get a full understanding of the project.
Mayor Cynthia Block says the MOU will help create long-term prosperity for the city and Muskeg Lake.
Both the nation and the city of Saskatoon are trying to create wealth for our cities, prosperity for the future, attract residents, making sure we have tourism here, making sure we have good jobs here. It's all part and parcel, I think, of any leader in their time.
Block added the city will provide public updates at least every 2 months, so residents can follow the projects as they move through planning and development. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
Kinanaskamitin, Rachel. And that's your APTN National News for this Monday, June 29th. I'm Tara Wheatley. It's been a pleasure to be here with you. Join Dennis Ward tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern for your first look at news. Until then, from all of us at APTN to all of you, agase, kitam, kinanaskamitin na awal.